So, let's talk about something that trips almost all of us up. What if that constant, desperate search for motivation is actually the very thing that's holding you back? Today, we're going to explore why its much tougher, much more reliable counterpart, discipline, is the real key to getting what you want out of life. You know the feeling, right? You get this incredible burst of energy. You're going to start a new diet, a new workout plan, maybe tackle that big project you've been putting off. And then a few weeks later, it just kind of fizzles out. Why does this happen? Why do our best, most sincere intentions seem to fall flat? The legendary Zig Ziglar absolutely hit the nail on the head with this one. He's saying we treat motivation like it's this permanent thing, but it's not. It's like a shower. It wears off. And if you're building your long-term goals on a feeling that's guaranteed to disappear, well, that's a pretty shaky foundation, isn't it?
Okay, here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at what I'm calling the motivation trap. Then, we'll introduce the real hero of the story, discipline, the actual engine for success. After that, we'll get super practical with a concept called systems over goals, and I'll even show you how to hack your own commitment. And finally, we'll get to the big payoff, the freedom of discipline.
All right, so let's get right into it, starting with the problem itself. We are obsessed with this idea of feeling motivated. But here's the hard truth. Relying on a feeling to get important things done is a fundamentally flawed strategy. It's a trap.
So what is motivation really? At its core, it's the spark. It's that initial, exciting push. It's the why that gets us started. And look, it's powerful, it feels amazing, but a spark, by its very nature, is temporary. It's not built to last. And that right there is the problem.
And this spark can come from a couple of places. It can be extrinsic, coming from the outside, like chasing a bonus or getting praise, or it can be intrinsic, coming from within, like the pure joy of doing something you love. But here's the catch. Neither one is permanent. Not even our deepest passions feel exciting every single second of every single day.
And this is the absolute crucial point. Motivation just comes and goes. A study looked at amateur triathletes, people you'd think are motivation machines, right? Even they admitted that their motivation disappears. Life gets in the way. They face burnout, work stress, all the same stuff we do. One of them put it perfectly. He said he tries to see his motivation as totally separate from his discipline. So when he's just not feeling it, he can lean on his discipline to get the work done anyway.
So, if motivation is just a fleeting spark, what's the permanent engine? Well, this brings us to the hero of our story. Discipline. Discipline is what you do when motivation decides to take a day off, or a week off. Let's be super clear on what this means. Discipline has literally nothing to do with how you feel at any given moment. It's about training yourself to act, consistently, regularly, whether you're inspired or not. Remember this, motivation is temporary, but discipline is permanent.
The former Navy SEAL Jocko Willink frames this perfectly. Think about it. You can have the most amazing goals in the world over here, and your accomplishments way over there. Discipline is the bridge that connects them. Without that bridge, your goals are just wishes. You see, disciplined people take action anyway, and that's the difference between winners and losers.
Now, this right here is probably the biggest misconception about discipline. We hear the word and we think of a prison, right? A bunch of harsh, restrictive rules. But Willink argues it's the complete opposite. It's a framework you build. A structure that actually sets you free from procrastination, free from your bad habits, and free from the whims of your daily moods.
Okay, so we get it. Discipline is the key. But how do we actually do it? How do we make it practical? Well, the answer lies in a powerful shift in focus, from the finish line to the steps we take every single day.
James Clear, in his incredible book Atomic Habits, drops this little bombshell on us. He says our intense focus on the final result, on the goal itself, is often the very thing that leads to failure. And this is a real aha moment.
So what's the difference? Look, a goal is the result you want. It's the destination. Like, I want to run a marathon. A system, on the other hand, is the process. It's the repeatable action that'll get you there. Like, I will run 3 times every week no matter what. Here's the kicker. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals. The only thing that separates them is a reliable system.
And this is maybe the most empowering idea in this whole explainer. If you're trying to change and you keep failing, the problem isn't you. You're not lazy, you don't lack willpower. The problem is your system. It's broken. If you fix the system, you'll start getting results.
It's that simple.
Okay, so we need a system. Got it. But what about those days when we just don't feel like it? How do we stick to the system then? Well, this is where we can get clever and borrow some tools from behavioral economics to basically hack our own commitment.
These things are called commitment devices. And really, what you're doing is making a deal with your future self. You're voluntarily setting up real, tangible consequences if you fail to follow through. It's like putting your discipline on a formal contract.
And research shows there are a couple of really effective types. First, you've got deposit contracts. You literally put your own money on the line, and if you fail, you lose it. This works because we humans hate losing things more than we like gaining them. The second is a regret-based lottery. You get entered into a prize draw, but you can only claim the prize if you hit your target. If you don't, they might even show you the prize you could have won, which triggers this powerful sense of regret that fuels you for next time.
So, we've talked about the trap of motivation, the power of discipline, and the tools to build a system. Now let's talk about the ultimate reward. What's the grand prize for all this hard work? The answer is so simple, but so profound. It's freedom.
And before we go any further, let's get one thing crystal clear, because this is probably the most important takeaway of all. That old idea that discipline is a restriction, it's just plain wrong.
See, it's not about restriction at all. It's about construction. With every disciplined act, you are building mental toughness. You are building the fortitude to push through discomfort, to look any obstacle in the eye, and to become the person you know you're capable of being.
And Jocko Willink just states it like a law of physics. He says it's not one way to get to true freedom, it's the only way.
And that's what this freedom really is. It's the freedom to choose your actions based on your long-term values, not your short-term fleeting feelings. It's freedom from procrastination, freedom from regret, freedom from that nagging feeling of knowing you could be so much more. You get to be in the driver's seat of your own life.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Forget about finding motivation, and for just a moment, forget about some grand, lofty goal. Just ask yourself this: what is one simple, small, repeatable system you can build starting today that your future self will thank you for?